Hey, everybody, this week on Up Your Alley, we've got two great recommendations. First, Jake recommended for me the 1987, I'm going to call it probably cult classic, horror parody Blood Diner, and I recommended for Jake Kevin Smith's new movie, the 4:30 movie that is available streaming right now. We're going to talk about that. Nintendo's got a weird alarm clock. There's an internet backlash from Joker 2, and Jake's playing some weird detective game. Jake, got anything to add?
We were talking before this, right?
Yeah.
And then as soon as you were like, all right, we're going to start,
Yeah.
your voice came out like crystal clear.
Right?
Yeah.
I
That
know.
was wild.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, man, you got to put on that good radio voice.
But it's crazy
Right?
because it's like, it sounds like a microphone right now, you know, like I'm listening to you.
Right.
But then you're like, all right, we start. And then I was like, that is like,
Nailed it first time.
it sounded like,
What are you gonna
yeah.
do? Hey, everybody, welcome to Up Your Alley. My name is Taylor Edgar, and with me, as always, is my best friend, Jake Baggett. Say hi, Jake.
Hey, everybody, this is Jake Back.
Oh, you're trying it on for size, huh?
I can't do it.
No.
Hi, buddy.
That's all right. Your regular voice is fine. My regular voice is just garbage. So it's a show. We've been best friends for 20 years, and we've recommended each other many things over those 20 years. And now we force the other person to watch, listen to, play, or do whatever needs to be done and spoon feed them the recommendation. We come back the next week, talk about it, grade it on a scale of 1 to 3 based on how much we like it. This week, like I said, Jake recommended Blood Diner. So far up your alley, Jake. Mm-hmm. I knew from jump one that I'm like, this is a Jake Baggety movie.
Can you believe that I haven't seen this movie until 2 years ago?
No, I honestly cannot believe
Right?
that.
It feels like such a part of my personality.
Yeah, it seems like it was made for you.
Yeah.
Like pretty much essentially. And speaking of movies made for me, Kevin Smith's new movie, which I recommended to Jake, the 4:30 movie, him returning to the mid 80s about movie theaters and stuff like that.
These movies are so in our opposite wheelhouses
Right.
that we offered each other on the same.
It's very weird. These movies
week.
could, like, Blood Diner could be a fake movie that Kevin Smith wrote for the 4:30 movie.
Yeah.
Like
For the trailers?
Very easily.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to talk about both of those. But first, just a little bit of catching up. So last week we recorded right after we went and saw Joker 2 Folie à Deux. Had a lot of things to say about it.
Yeah.
Have you thought about it more?
The more I think about it, the more I'm like, I don't hate it. I
No.
don't think it's bad. I think it's not. I just think it's a very challenging movie.
So the internet pretty much unanimously hates it.
Yes.
My YouTube feed
to the
all
point where
weekend
they say
was
it's bad, and we famously like the bad movies. We are on wax.
Obviously.
There you go, saying that we enjoyed
recommend-
Madam Web.
You recommended a movie to me this week that was a bad movie. But yeah, so we both liked Madam Web.
Yeah.
I thought it was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, I wish I had had a day to think about Joker 2 before
Yeah.
we recorded
Yeah.
last week.
Okay.
Just because I think I was wrong in my main criticism was I was just flat out like, this isn't the Joker that I like, blah,
Yes,
blah, blah, blah,
I
blah.
remember that.
And I'm going back and thinking about it more, and I think it was just I didn't like the first Joker as much as I thought I did.
Yeah.
And this second one's just fine.
Okay.
It's just more of the same. It's not the because something that we're going to talk about later in a separate video, maybe thinking about different versions of the Joker, and yeah, it's a fine movie.
It was something that challenged the characters that they created, and I just don't think that it was. I just don't think it had the audience in mind when
No.
they made it, which isn't a bad thing. I want these types of swings. It just also felt very pessimistic and very combative in trying to enjoy it.
So when you say it was made without the audience in mind, I actually think the opposite.
The intent of
I think it was
the
meant-
people that were like, maybe, yeah, you might be right.
So-
Because there's people, I remember when that movie came out, they're like, this movie is Best Picture.
Right.
This movie deserves Best Picture.
Yeah,
And it's like,
oh,
no.
you're talking Joker 1.
Yes.
Joker 1, yeah.
And then maybe they were like, oh, our farts are that good smelling. Maybe we can
Yeah.
go like, ooh. But I also think that it was a very cynical movie that just doesn't realize that cynicism comes with self-hatred, and then like that's all I picked up from it when I was watching it.
See, I disagree. I think it's more that it's kind of lying on the no such thing as bad press, but there is that thing where no one's going to go to a movie they're going to hate in this day and age. I think that this movie was kind of just clickbait the movie. They're like, we're going to piss a lot of people off. Let's just see what happens. I think they had WB is in this weird space where first of all, they're shit canning movies. Like they fully made a Batgirl movie.
Yeah, I'd want to watch that. I want to watch Acme more than anything.
Right.
That would be great.
Coyote versus Acme.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think they're in a weird spot where they're like, we have one in the chamber. Everyone's signed on for contracts. Let's just make something that's really out there and weird and see what we can squeeze out of it monetarily.
I don't think so.
You really don't?
No. I think
James Gunn wants nothing to do with this.
I think they made a big splash with the first one.
Yeah.
And then I think Todd Phillips is just really up his ass about what he feels, especially in terms of comedy, that this thing comes off as cynical, where you're supposed to pity Arthur Fleck, but also envy him for speaking his truth, and it just comes off as a character that is very unlikable.
See, I don't attribute it to him being up his own ass as much as I attribute it to probably just apathy and just being like, because apparently Joaquin Phoenix took over a good bit of this movie. So I think Todd Phillips as a director was just like, okay, well, I'm on contract. I got to make this movie.
I don't know, man.
Just let him do it. And then they're never going to ask me to make another Joker thing anymore.
I don't know, man.
Really?
Yeah, because I think he really enjoyed making the first one. I think it comes off as that, you know? I think it's very enjoyable, but it's nothing fantastic, you know? It was a good movie. I was happy to go see it.
I just think I was a little unfairly critical to it, which goes to maybe not recording 15 minutes after we get out of the theater.
The second one?
The second.
I'm talking about the first one.
The first one, I
thought it was a good movie.
Yeah.
I was enjoying it.
I thought it was okay.
Nothing fantastic, but something I was like, that's really cool swing. I'm really happy with what they tried here. And like the box office responded in kind, being like, here's hundreds of millions of dollars, almost $1 billion.
No, billion with a B. It cracked $1 billion.
Here's $1 billion for you. You did a good job. And then they were like,
it was the highest rated or highest grossing R-rated movie until Deadpool Wolverine. Yeah.
Deadpool. That was, speaking of a good movie, there you go. But I think they were just like, oh, we've made something that has a tinge of auteur to it. So let's try and involve our auteurness of it, where Todd Phillips comes from a comedy background, and it's more our age comedy, and our age is just slick with cynicism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think the cynicism in me is just making me think that it's just engagement farming, because it was obviously my algorithm. You can't say, oh, it's all over YouTube, because everyone's algorithm is so personalized. But mine was a lot of channels that I'm not subscribed to, their Joker content, and the whole I wouldn't say right wing, but just angry, shitty nerd element. Well, like the shitty nerds that are just hating on everything. Like if some
hate tourists,
the ones that already have 45-minute things on whether the Ghost of Tsushima sequel is going to be bad because it's
because they have a fantastic voice actress that's going to be working on it,
right? But it's a female protagonist, so how dare they? Why do they got to make everything woke? And it's like, guess what? She has a sword and a bow and arrow, just as deadly as any man with a sword and a bow and arrow.
That's That's a good point.
Yeah.
Also,
it's a great that ends every 45-minute diatribe.
They're trying to pile on Silent Hill 2 right now.
Why?
Which I was already skeptical about.
Wait, the movie or the game?
The game.
Okay.
The remake just came out.
Oh, yeah. I saw
and
that.
there's a strip club in it.
Uh-huh.
It's got a neon sign.
Wasn't that on PlayStation?
PlayStation 2. The second one.
It's a horrible strip club.
But the neon sign for it, the lady has a bit of a pooch on her stomach.
Huh.
They posted it on the remake, and they're like, look, they're even DEI-ing the neon sign. And it was like, that's the exact sign from the PlayStation 2 one.
Right.
They're just here to...
Also, it sounds funny.
React.
Yeah.
And, just be like, here, give me... Because I don't want to go on a whole tirade of these people, but it's just, they're awful. They just know that if they say something wrong and something that upsets people, you get two types of audiences. You get people that are going to come in and be like, F you, you're an idiot. And then people that are like, yes, I agree with you. Can you please be my friend?
And I think that's part of why I felt bad piling on Joker 2 as much as I did. Because, one, I'll say this, movie didn't affect me. I don't plan on ever watching it again.
Yeah.
Like, knock yourself out. Go and do it. But
fantastic performance from Lady Gaga, I would have to say.
Great singing.
Fantastic performance from Arthur Fleck.
She has a...
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah. She has a soundtrack that's just called Harlequin, where she does not the versions from the movie.
Yeah.
But like she'll take the song like whatever it was, Fly Me to the Moon or whatever the Sinatra song was on, World on a String.
Yeah.
And she just does that with a band. Like she did an album with Tony Bennett a while ago.
I remember
she
that.
hits
I
all
love
those
it.
standards. Yeah, she's great. That album, I think it's called Harlequin, like the word, not Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
But yeah, great record. She's a very talented person.
Yes, very
But
talented person.
I don't know. I just didn't want to come off as one of those. I hate this because
Yeah.
it's not what I want. And it's
just-
I didn't hate it as much as I thought I did. I just wish I had had a day.
It's a very perplexing film.
I
can't understand it.
Yeah. It's a lot like. Did you ever see the Fantastic Four, the Miles Teller one?
No,
It's like that. It's like that for me, where it's just like, why? Okay, you probably didn't need to make this. Like, it's not.
How is it like that?
Because you didn't need to make it.
Well, that movie was like a lot of compromise, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, because that was originally the guy whose name I'm blanking on, but he did the other movie with Michael B. Jordan where he's got superpowers and Dane DeHaan.
Oh my gosh, it starts with a C, I believe. Chronicle.
Yeah.
I like that movie.
Yeah, that was a good movie. But it's just the way that Fantastic Four came out, it's just like, okay, well, it's a thing. You know, it's not offensive to me. I really don't have any strong opinions on it. So that's my official thing. I don't have any strong opinions on Joker 2. I don't plan on seeing it again.
You want to sit on that fence, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's cozy. So it's not sitting on a fence. I think not taking a side is taking a side sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I can't defend the movie. I think it was fine. I think the more I like Brendan Gleeson's character.
There are people that I respect their opinions that are saying that they love this film. You know what I mean?
I haven't gotten that algorithm at all.
That's fine by me. Well, I follow them on Twitter. And when they say, like, you know, I love this movie, I was like, that makes sense to me. You know what I mean?
It's the second best Joker movie I've seen this year.
That's damn true.
That's damn true. All right, moving on from that. So Nintendo has the Alarmo. I remember seeing this press release, I guess, or first thing it popped up on my YouTube, and I thought it was a joke. And it's a real thing.
Yeah.
So Nintendo has an alarm clock.
I'm not surprised when Nintendo makes a weird thing. You know what I mean? They were trying to make that that clip for the Wii that clips onto your finger so that it could trace your heartbeat.
Yeah.
And they're like, you could play scary games with that, maybe, or it could have hospital functions. We don't know. And it's like, yeah, Nintendo just like starts working on something, and they're like, I don't know, let's try it.
So they start doing fun stuff with hardware, which is something that oh, you all right, buddy?
Oh my gosh.
See?
I spazzed out again.
You did a little bit. So
I went to wipe my mustache and I just slapped that microphone, boy.
Yeah. You really got caught up thinking about Joker 2, didn't you? So it's an alarm clock that watches you.
Yeah.
Which
infrared. So it's not a camera. It's an infrared camera. So it's not a camera.
It'll start playing like a Mario theme when you wake up. And then if you, like in the video, if you haven't seen the YouTube launch video thing, people are like stretching, and then it'll start making like coin noises, like the more you move.
Yeah, if you toss and turn, it's like bling, 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 bling.
Yeah.
I am a toss and turner when I sleep. You know what I mean?
Are you groggy getting up in the morning, or are you?
I would say 90% of the times, I am up and out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get up pretty quick.
I can usually hit the floor running, like as soon as I wake up.
I have a cat.
That's true.
And she tries to get me up around 8 a.m.
Wow.
You know?
It's late.
Really?
Yeah.
I got to work at 10, bud.
Still. Wait. I'm just saying, my dog wakes me up at 6.
Well, yeah, I'm saying I am lucky.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. When she tries to get me up at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., that's when I just stay in bed.
Right.
But so when 8 a.m. comes around, when my alarm goes off.
What's your alarm?
My phone.
No, but like sound-wise.
Bling dong dingy dong bling bong
so
dingy dong.
It's just a chime tone.
Yeah.
I hit a Die Young by Kesha.
What?
Get you going.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do a song.
Dude.
I've done that before, and then you hear the song in real world.
Uh-huh.
And
oh, yeah. I hear that song in real world a lot. The song rules.
Like a Pavlovian response. I am like, fuck, I'm so mad.
Die Young is great because it starts out a little bit slow, and then it just hits you when the beat comes in.
I have no idea what that
So
is.
anyway, what I noticed about this Nintendo alarm clock watching you, I was like, that's really weird. But I noticed my iPhone does that.
What? Watches you?
Yeah. So you don't have an iPhone.
No.
Most people know this. If you have an iPhone, if you have it charging and you turn it sideways while it's locked, here, I'll show it to you right now. So if you have it charging and it's locked, it'll give you just if it'll do it right now. No, it's not going to do it because I'm holding it. But it'll give you just like a clock face. And that's what I normally use for my alarm clock. Just sit it sideways. There you go.
Okay.
So I sit it sideways like that. And then I've noticed I'll wake up in the middle of the night and it'll just be black. Yeah. But then I'll like move my head or something like that. And then it'll turn on.
Oh.
So I thought it's so weird that I'm like, I don't want a clock watching me. And I'm like, oh, crap. This thing's been watching me the whole time.
If any clock is watching you, it's that thing, man.
Yeah, well, that has a fucking 12 megapixel camera staring at your face.
I am thinking.
Yeah.
I was about to buy an Alarmo, right?
I think I might
I
get
was
an
on
Alarmo.
board until like none of the songs were very interesting to me.
No.
And then they were like, it's $100. I was like, I don't know. Online, you could buy one of those hotel red LED alarm clocks.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I kind of miss that light
nostalgia?
LED glow
Yeah.
that you
Well,
get.
that's the iPhone switches to red light when it's nighttime.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so the
There you
clock
go.
is red. And I've got like a red like plug-in nightlight in my room so I can get around in the middle of the night and stuff too.
You just like to see red at night? And you think I am a freak about horror movies? And you're like, I can only see red at night.
No, it doesn't wake you up as much. I listened to one podcast with Andrew Huberman, and he talked about red lights, and I
do remember that.
Yeah.
You brought that up to me before.
it's supposed to be good for you. I don't know. I don't think it's objectively bad for you. I'm not one of those people that's like you have to go outside and show the sun your taint first thing in the morning. But if there's a red light, it's fine.
I was doing that for fun, by the way.
Before
and then
it was
Tucker
cool?
Carlson makes it cool. That sucks. I want to ask you, do you listen to anything to fall asleep?
I can usually put on... No, because I usually look at my phone until I start to nod off, and then I'll clip it to my charger, little MagSafe charger, and then I'll roll over. But sometimes I have fallen asleep watching like a Seth Meyers clip or something like that.
Okay. I turn on rain sounds.
Oh, just the white noise machine.
Well, off of YouTube.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting suggestions, and this guy, he's like, he is like rain noise with white noise, rain noise with pink noise.
What's pink noise?
That's what I'm saying. I go to his channel, and he's like, everybody knows about white noise. Nobody knows that there's a whole spectrum of color of noise.
I don't think that's a
I
thing.
don't know.
Well, there's the brown, there's the
looked into
brown
it much.
note, which is apparently a tuba sound that makes you poop yourself.
There is a brown noise
Yeah.
channel that you can listen to off of
Why?
him. It's a different noise, I guess.
Pink noise, would that be a mixture of white noise and red noise?
These are fantastic questions. I don't know.
You were subscribed to the guy on YouTube. You
I
don't know
don't
the answers?
subscribe to him. I went to his channel to be like,
Jake,
what is a pink noise?
If there's one thing we know about YouTube, you like and subscribe. it really helps the algorithm.
No, I have to see what he's got. I don't
Fair
wanna
enough.
Fall in.
There are some things like the lo-fi, like there's Did You Know Gaming is a YouTube channel that I like. It's just like fun trivia facts about video games. And they have like compilations that's just like, 4 hours of Mario facts set to lo-fi hip-hop beats. And I'm like, who's really falling asleep to that? But I mean, then you look at it, it's like
That's the new
100,000
algorithm,
views.
man.
Yeah.
Because somebody posted about how, like, he's playing Project Zomboid. What
the hell is Project Zomboid?
That's a fantastic game. I don't think you'd enjoy it, but it's great.
Fair enough.
It's but he's like, I played it for 4 episodes, and he's like, low engagement on those things. He's like, and then I make one large 4-hour video and just say Project Zomboid episodes 1 through 4, fall asleep too. And he's like, and that thing does 10 times the amount of engagement.
Should we do that?
That's the only way. Yep.
Up Your Alley podcast to
Fall asleep to?
Yeah.
Yep. You just put 4 of them together and then say, hey, fall asleep to this.
Yeah, there's a weird...
Because for some reason, YouTube doesn't care if you're paying attention.
Yeah.
It just wants it on. Yeah. That's it. It's all about eyes on it now rather than clicks and views. It's how retention.
Yeah, I mean, I just looking at our analytics, like you see the drop down and then the video stops. And then sometimes YouTube will be weird. Like I noticed this, I texted you about it because sometimes it seems like some bots pick up. And I know, like, hello to all, we've got 12,000 subscribers. I'm going to guess 11,850 bots. So hi to everybody else. But sometimes like we posted something last week that said the Joker, and at some point we had more likes than we had views because YouTube kind of like sees the bots that count as a view, and there's just bot machines that'll just view like, and then if it's not something they can engage on, then they click off because we don't have a video component to the show. But yeah, I guess maybe that's what people are doing because you have to have the retention, so someone has to actually play the video for that amount of time.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe we should brand this as a fall asleep to this podcast, and
I think it's pretty dystopian.
let's start releasing the podcast at like 10 o'clock at night instead of 6 o'clock in the morning, and hope people fall asleep listening to it.
Just kind of wild that they're like, I don't care if people are paying attention.
But Nintendo's always the first to jump on
that
on
AI
the board.
guy who makes AI music and then he makes it for bots to listen to.
Oh,
makes
yeah, we talked
hundreds
about
of
him.
thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And then they're
Which I
like,
still say is completely legal.
yeah, and he's like, you're going to jail.
Yeah, he shouldn't go to
Why?
jail.
He found it out. He's
Yeah.
giving you engagement,
Yeah.
quote unquote.
I mean,
So yeah,
I
who's
don't know.
mad?
I think I like the idea of an Alarmo. I think Nintendo's a fun company.
If it had, none of the music sounds
Better music though. If you give me friggin' Sticker Brush Symphony from Donkey Kong Country 2, I could fall asleep to that.
Majora's Mask music, but then again, that's kind of scary. So
It does
I
get
don't
a
want to
little
listen to
spooky.
that.
You have spooky dreams with Majora's Mask. A lot of minor keys in Majora's Mask. Yeah.
It's just it's hard to think in my head,
Minor keys and
Period.
double reads. That's kind of weird.
but it's like when I think of like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom,
Oh, that's nice.
the music is too sparse and it's pretty, but it's like just like little tinkles and tangles
Right,
there.
until you run into
Until
like a
you're-
bad guy that's like,
Yeah, and then
and
it's
you're like,
loud,
oh shit.
or you're stuck in a maze and it gives you that little anxiety music that happens, which I enjoy. I think that's the best music in the game.
You should set your alarm
But,
to just the you're about to drown music from Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
They're gonna have to put that on Alarmo. I'm surprised they didn't do
That'll
that.
make you wake up immediately because if you have sleep apnea and it
Wouldn't
starts
that be
playing
great?
this Sonic.
You have to turn around and grab a bubble so that you could have some more air, aka snooze.
That's the thing. So it's a sleep apnea mask for Sonic the Hedgehog that's blue and it looks like Sonic's face. And when you stop breathing in your sleep, it goes wakes you up so you don't die.
That's wild, dude.
God, we should patent that before Sega makes it. There's the Alarmo and there's a Sonic sleep apnea mask. What else were we going to talk about ahead of time? Oh, you're playing some detective game.
Yeah, we'll
what's
talk
that?
about Shadows of Doubt.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
So you say it's a detective game that's procedurally generated.
Yes, it's just kind of like
Which is like what No Man's Sky is, if I'm not wrong.
it's like it will generate the town that you're in, all the people that live in it, the histories of those people.
Is it first person?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's on Steam, and like I did the tutorial. What do you call it? Case.
Yeah.
Basically, you wake up in your apartment. Somebody slides a note underneath your door, and it says "Find this woman." And
Like a noir situation.
yeah. And then so I go
Real killer heat.
I go to my yellow pages and I open it up and I find her name and I'm like, there's her address. I go to her address, knock on her door. Nobody answers. So I was like, I got a couple lock picks. I'll go in there, open it up, and there's a dead woman lying in the ground. And I'm like,
Jesus.
Okay, so something happened here. So you examine the body, you see that she was shot, and look around, find her wallet, see that it is the woman, so I can confirm it's her. You have a fingerprint gun, so I get her fingerprints there. I get a second set of fingerprints that were there as well. And they were on the safe that was open when I got there. So I also look around. I find a crumpled piece of paper that says, you're going to meet with G. And I was like, that's interesting. And then I found the name for Knox. So you get all these leads. You're following them. Everything connects. And then you get this piece of paper that you have to fill out. When you find out who it is, they're like, do you know the name of the murderer? Is he arrested right now?
Clue rules.
Yeah. Do you have the weapon? Yeah. And do you have evidence that that person was there at the crime scene?
So it's Clue.
Yeah. I found the weapon. I arrested the guy. I had his fingerprints at the place that I could prove that it was there. So I filled it all out, gave it to him, and then they're like, hey, case solved, and you did perfectly. And I was like, that felt so good because when I was in that girl's apartment, hitmen came when they were
Jesus.
when they were doing it, and I just jumped into a air duct and I followed all the way down, but it's an air conditioning duct, so I got cold, so I started shivering a lot, so I had to get out of there.
What the fuck? This game sounds very intricate.
It was very intricate, so I had to get out, but I had to get out into another person's apartment, so I hid in their closet while I warmed up a little bit.
What's this called?
It's called Shadows of Doubt.
Down.
Yeah. I had a great time playing it.
And so being procedurally generated, is it never the same thing twice?
That's what it should be. I saw gameplay footage one time where a guy was escaping, ended up in the basement of a building, and there was a dead body in there. And there was like, all right, here's a new case that you could solve if you feel like it.
So this is like, graphically, it's like a PS1 level graphics.
It looks like voxel
I don't know what that is. It looks kind of like halfway through PS1 and Minecraft.
So you know what
kind of pixely.
A pixel is? Yeah.
Yeah.
A voxel is a 3D pixel.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was based off of.
Yeah. Smaller Minecraft.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I might have to check that out. Is that on PlayStation, do you know?
No, it's just on Steam.
Oh, none of the good things are on PlayStation.
Don't know if you could play it on your deck.
Got to click.
You have to click sometimes.
That's how they get you. All right. Let's get into our recommendations for this week. I want to talk about yours first because I want to tie yours into mine. So you recommended 1987's Blood Diner.
Hell yeah.
I have the Blu-ray right here. Jake. All right.
Hell yeah, dude.
I got to ask. First of all, shocked you hadn't seen this movie until 2 years ago.
Yeah, until very
recently. This sounds like something that you have on Blu-ray now just because you don't have a way to play your VHS of this movie anymore.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah. Like, this is one of those things that slipped. I wish I had found this and you hadn't heard of it.
Yeah.
Because if I had recommended this to you, I would have been like, that's worth 10 points in this thing that we're not keeping score of anymore. So, explain to the people what Blood Diner is, how you found out about it, and whatever.
So, yeah, like a couple years ago, I met a new guy who's also into these movies, and I went over to his place to watch some movies and stuff, hang out with his family. And I was looking through his stuff, and he was like, well, I got Blood Diner, of course. And I was like, what's that? And he's like, you've never seen that. He was like, that's insane to me. So we sat down and watched it. I was like, oh, I see. This movie is exactly what I need.
Yes.
And it's because it is a silly horror movie.
It's a parody.
It's a parody. It has to be. It absolutely is.
Big time parody.
It's very funny, is what I'm saying. It mentions Lemuria, which is fantastic to me. That's a real conspiracy. You know about that one?
I do not. I love a good conspiracy, though.
Lemuria was a world like Pangea, like way back when, that was mostly lemurs. And then time happened to it.
You've misread that somewhere.
No, look it up. And then time happened after a while, and it sank like Atlantis.
But it was lemurs?
Yeah.
Like Madagascar, King Julian liked to move it lemurs.
Yeah. Lemuria.
Huh.
Yeah. Real thing.
Are they primates? They got to be primates.
I have no clue, dude. Marsupials?
No, they're not marsupials.
I'm sure there's marsupials. I think they're marsupials.
I disagree.
Like fish.
They're primates.
Anyway.
Wait, like fish?
Yeah, I know. I wanted to throw you off for a little bit.
You did, but I was thinking about how right I was first. I didn't have time to focus on how wrong you were. Continue.
This movie...
give them the plot.
The plot is basically these two brothers who run a diner go and dig up their serial killer uncle with the plans to have him help them build a woman for this feast for Lemuria, and that requires human flesh. So they run a diner that serves human flesh to people
under the guise of it being vegetarian, which is hilarious.
Yeah, which is it makes it vegetarian, and they also just have to coax like women so that they can get their body parts so that they can make this other woman.
A vessel for Sheetar.
Yes, for Sheetar.
Yeah,
exactly.
Which is the goddess. It kind of has Ghostbustery vibes like that. Like they have to bring, yeah,
like
get a
Gozer,
thing for Gozer,
type thing. And I also like that there's a subplot with the other brother who is so mad about this Nazi wrestler that's coming to town that he's like...
You're only saying he's a Nazi wrestler because his name's Jimmy Hitler. Wait, we shouldn't say Hitler again. It got us knocked off the algorithm.
You just did it!
Don't say it anymore. He's like Beetlejuice. If you say it 3 times, he'll take you out of the algorithm.
So that's a really fun one.
It's a fun little subplot.
And it's just a bunch of silly little vignettes. And the cops that are on the trail to finding out who's been killing and taking these people.
Yes.
Yep.
There
you go.
So it's super, like, it's gory, but not, like, scary. I was afraid.
Cartoonish.
So... I'll say right now, this movie it's a 2 for me. I think the closest thing I could relate it to you, and here's why I give it a 2, because I think this is what I gave a 2 to as well. Months ago, you recommended that I watch a film called Karate Robo Zabogar.
Yep, my favorite movie.
Which is a parody of Japanese action movies and like all their tropes.
I can't remember what they're called. They're like Power Ranger.
Yeah, Power Ranger stuff. Like not kaiju per se, but it's Power Rangers. And I was a detective that turns into a motorcycle. or something to that effect.
It was a secret police
We don't
officer
need
who was
to
a
get bogged
twin
down.
brother that turned into...
Stop it. We don't need to get into Karate Robo Zabogar again. I have
He
Blood
was
Diner to deal
part
with.
motorcycle, part karate expert, all cop.
Yes.
Karate Robo Zabogar.
So the reason I gave that the rating I did, which I believe was a 2, was I get that it's a parody. I just don't have enough background in what it's a parody of to get how good it is. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like I can tell that this is a really well-made parody of like the 80s, body horror slasher movies, and then just like randomly, like, how are we going to kill a whole bunch of women at once? Well, put them in a topless aerobics class and let's just see a bunch of boobs for a long time, and then we're just going to machine gun them and then cut them down, which is what happens in this movie. Makes sense. I mean, it's 1987. That's just kind of what you did back then. The comedy is good, and the wrestling match was hysterical. So when they resurrect their uncle, he's just a brain in a jar with eyeballs, which was a nice practical effect because like the eyeballs moved.
Yeah.
He looked like Andros from Star Fox 64. You remember when Star Fox 64? He's the same thing. It's just a brain with eyeballs, which is apparently just a thing. So I can definitely see what movies like this would have an inspiration on, because the first thing that I compared it to is Matt Stone and Trey Parker's first thing, Cannibal the Musical. Like from the body horror to the cannibalism and everything like that to that really just weird I wouldn't call it avant-garde, but that kind of just quirky slapstick, violence.
Yeah.
And then just things that aren't explained, how like one of the rival diner owners has a puppet mannequin that just talks to him the whole time.
That he talks through.
And it's also really poorly ADR'd, which I can't tell if that's like a parody. Because at first, like some of the ADR is so bad, I was like, is this movie in a different language? And then they're dubbing it.
Nah.
But it's just ADR. And I don't know if that's something that we've talked about a bunch of times. I don't know if that was a aesthetic choice to make it funny, or if that was just...
No, I think it was just ADR.
That's just, it was just bad ADR from the 80s, which, I mean, it's fine. Super violent, funny.
Very funny.
At one point, they have to go find, basically, I forget, the tramps. They have to find, like, the liver of a tramp. So they go to a really weird 80s nightclub where there's, like, a full, almost, like, band from Back to the Future, the Under the Sea dance, doing a whole song.
Yeah.
And they find 2 tramps, bring them back, and then he batters and fries
one of their heads.
Right. So covers her in beer batter and dips her head in the fryer, and it comes up and it's just a giant hush puppy head.
Yeah.
It looked like in Elden Ring when you were in the jar on your head. Like it's just comically sized. And it's just a fun movie. Like I can definitely see that it's fun.
It's very funny.
It's just not,
I like it when the cop whenever there's just great parts where he's just talking with his gun out and he's just scratching his head.
Yeah.
There's only one part where he scratches and then shoots it.
Right. Yeah, and it's hyper violent. So when they resurrect Sheetar at the end, she's got like a mouth in her stomach. And then, it has like the weird cliffhangery ending where like Sheetar's back and it's like, oh no, no one's going to stop her. Now
they saved her. Yeah.
Right.
She was picked up.
Yeah. It definitely has something that the opening scene is a flashback to when the brothers were young and their uncle comes in. And he just murdered like a sorority, and he had a knife, and
it was a fake out,
right?
Because you think he's gonna kill these kids that are like Uncle
Anwar, and he's just there,
like, boys,
and
he's like, I gotta go now, and then he leaves and he gets shot down by cops.
And this is definitely something that has, just from when it came out in 1987, it was either way ahead of its time or very influential on a bunch of comedy that came after it.
Oh, you think so?
It has to be. Like if Matt Stone and Trey Parker didn't see this movie before they started making Cannibal the Musical and stuff like that, and Orgasmo as well, just that sense of humor where someone just says something completely random and walks away. Cannibal the Musical was early 90s. I want to say like 92, 93 must have been. Because it was before South Park came out, and South Park came out in 95, but it definitely wasn't 87.
Did you know that this was a remake?
What?
Of a movie?
No.
From like the 50s or something like that?
Oh.
Yeah.
Same plot?
Same plot, but played for real. I haven't seen that one. I don't really want to.
Well, the writer of this, Michael Sagne, who his other films are Cold Steel, Adventures of Tor, Prison Ship Star Slammer, and Sorority Babes in the Slimeball Bolorama.
Michael
Saunier, the
writer,
actor, writer, and composer. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's a fun movie. I think if you can find a copy of it, it's worth checking out, putting on for a couple laughs.
I wish Jackie Kong made more movies. I think
Jackie Kong
put a lot of the fun in it.
Yeah, I did. I only watched some of the behind the scenes stuff.
There's a great part where one of the police is getting overwhelmed by all the zombie people that start happening.
Yeah, they have a blood orgy.
The cop that saves the day takes a shot that saves her. The reason he was late is like, I couldn't find a good parking space.
Exactly. Like, that's the kind of sense of humor.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
Absolutely love this movie.
Yeah, and at one point they're trying to get into the club and they just toss a guy and his head gets ran over and the bouncer's like, all right, you guys are good.
Yeah.
Like, just that sense of humor where everything's just completely written off in this crazy universe that it exists in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. It's a 2 for me. I wasn't, because you had to know this wasn't going to be like, oh my God, Taylor's going to love this movie. But it's fun. I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad I have it in my Rolodex of, things.
Yeah. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Definitely a 3 for me.
Obviously a 3 for you. Some weird 80s nudity and graphic violence.
If you like a movie like Frankenhooker, you're going to love this movie.
I've never seen Frankenhooker.
Frankenhooker is fantastic.
I don't know why you think that would be in my Rolodex.
I'm talking to the audience here.
Yeah.
Everybody's seen Frankenhooker.
Yeah.
Nobody's seen Blood Diner. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I'm going to say that not everybody has seen Frankenhooker.
That's, yeah, they have. Yeah.
Can I take a stab at what that movie's about?
Go for it.
It's about...
You're going to be wrong. Go ahead.
Okay, well... there's 2 ways. One, if it's actually Frankenhooker, then it's a doctor who is also a prostitute. Because Frankenstein was the name of the doctor and scientist.
Nope.
So is the monster a prostitute?
Almost.
So it should be Frankenhooker's monster, or Frankenstein's hooker.
Guy who's married to a woman invents a lawnmower that can mow the lawn by itself autonomously. Runs over his wife. His wife's head survives. He goes out, kills hookers, takes their body parts to build her body back so that she can be alive again. The problem is, since it's built with hooker parts, she thinks she's a hooker, so she goes out and she starts hooking.
Is it different body parts?
Yeah. Because
I feel like you can just, if
what
you got
he does,
a fully intact
it's because he invents this crack, this type of super crack that if you do it,
cocaine crack.
Yes, you explode.
What the fuck is happening?
You explode. Body parts go everywhere. So he just kind of collects all the body parts he can.
Right, but if you have a fully functioning head, couldn't you just slap that on a body?
What he tried, but he exploded all the bodies.
There's other ways to kill people other than exploding crack.
Yeah, but he has exploding crack.
So it's really just work with the tools that you got.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. He keeps the head in a freezer.
You got to cook with what's in the fridge.
With other things that shouldn't be in there. It's great.
All right.
Great movie.
The lawnmower runs over his wife.
It's very funny. Great movie.
I disagree.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about my recommendation for Jake, the new Kevin Smith film, the 4:30 movie. So this is a nice return from Kevin Smith. He has been...
what was his last movie before this? Kilroy was here?
Well, yeah, kind of. But I think his last theatrical one before this was Clerks 3. I think Clerks 3 came out after Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Absolutely, right?
So this is a new time frame for Kevin Smith. So Kevin Smith, obviously most well known for Clerks, early 90s. And then he kind of just moved on from there. He never really went back to his childhood. This is the first time he's really gone back to the well of the 80s when he was a youth, because he kind of started his career, as an adult. Like, he never really explored what young Kevin Smith was doing. So, it was Clerks 3 before that. So, yeah. And so this is set in New Jersey, and it is set in the movie theater. I think I mentioned this last week on the show. So Kevin Smith bought in Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey, the movie theater where he grew up watching movies. It was a mom and pop movie theater. He went and bought it. It's now called Smodcastle Cinemas. And
work on the name, but
well, he had Smodcast,
I know,
and then he did Smodcast Live, and he did Smodcastle.
Yeah.
So now it's Smodcastle Cinemas.
I stick to my criticism.
That's fine. but I'm not going to tell the man how to do his business because he's way more successful than we are.
No.
So
I will honestly.
the movie theater hadn't been updated at all since the 80s. And so as soon as he got in there, he was like, we should make a movie here. We've got free production design. So it was shot in the movie theater that he owns. The movie is set with 3 boys. It's, summer in the 80s. They want to go see a movie. The young boy that's Kevin Smith's surrogate. I forget what is his character name because it's 2 first names too. Like it's like a Kevin Smith style name. Brian David is the kid's name. So very Kevin Smithy, just the name. And Brian and his 2 friends, they want to go see movies, and they're planning on just movie hopping, which was a thing back in the day where you could buy a ticket for one movie and just go see a bunch of other movies. And he calls a girl up, invites a girl out to a movie. They're going to go see the movie together. They had kissed the summer before. It's a very childhood.
Yep.
I
can relate to that part where he kisses a girl and they're getting close, and then he stops talking to her for a year.
Yes. I've been there too. And then afterwards, they're like, "Why did you never talk to me?" I was like, "Oh, no."
It's like, "Oh, you have no idea."
I'm an idiot. That's why that happened. So through misadventure, they go see. There's a bunch of fake movies that they go see, and I just thought it's a really nice coming of age story. It all takes place in one day, one afternoon, really, and I was just like, this is a great Kevin Smith movie. I think the only Kevin Smith movie we've done on the podcast is Jersey Girl, which I still maintain is one of his best movies.
And I gave it a 2.
You did, which is, and it wasn't your first time seeing Jersey Girl either. No. You'd watch it, but I made you rewatch it with a critical eye. We also talked about the director's cut of Daredevil, which Kevin Smith was also in.
Yes.
And
I think I gave that one a 3.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, all Affleck April. Stick around for this April. It's going to be a fun one. I've already got it mapped out. And so, I really like this return. I think it's great to see him kind of step away from, as much as I love the Jay and Silent Bob movies, and they're making another Jay and Silent Bob movie, and I'm going to go see that. I love all the Clerks movies. I love his View Askew universe that he has created for himself. And it was just nice to see something outside of that, but still kind of, playing in the same sandbox a little bit. And I think it was just a great. Did you ever see The Fabelmans?
Nope.
So The Fabelmans was a Steven Spielberg movie. It's basically a fake movie about Steven Spielberg, how he's a kid that wants to grow up and be a movie director.
Yeah.
This is Kevin Smith's The Fabelmans.
Yeah.
With just dick jokes and jerking off in bathroom stalls and, stuff that makes more of a Kevin Smith style age story than it does Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
So, I thought it was great, and I wanted you to watch it. So, what'd you think of the 4:30 movie?
We spoke before this podcast, right?
Briefly, when I was doing my bad voice.
I had a really rough week this week, very tiring.
Yeah.
So I was going into this movie already exhausted and annoyed.
Yep.
And within about 10 minutes, I was like, this is fantastic.
It's great,
I'm
right?
having a great time.
Yeah.
The first thing I was looking at the credits, right? And it says Method Man's in it. And I was like, that's wonderful.
Yeah, they're friends.
He shows up for about 30 seconds, then he's gone. And I was like, it was really nice to see Method Man.
Method Man is a cook at the seafood restaurant where Brian David is a busboy.
Oh, they did not establish that to me. I did not know that's what he was.
Yeah, he worked at the seafood restaurant, which is a seafood restaurant that Kevin Smith used to work at.
That was a fun little engagement that they had. But this movie, I really, really like it.
Yeah.
I'd probably love it. I would give it a 3, honestly.
Nice.
It was probably, this is like the greatest effort I've seen from him in a long ass time.
I think he put his heart into it.
I really feel like this is him using how big of a dork he is in the best way possible. He's really into movies. He's really into the subculture nerdy shit.
Yeah.
But he's also, just into that shit.
Yeah.
It is a part of his personality, and it just shines through this movie. It's a dork movie, but it loves itself. You can tell that everybody involved was in love with making this movie as well. It felt like Red State to me, where it was just somebody like Kevin who just started working really hard on it, and things just started clicking, and he was like, we're doing a really good job here.
Yeah.
He's like, this is coming out. This is coming out really good. And it did. I loved it. Everybody was fantastic.
There's some great cameos in it. Kate McCucci plays
The mom.
Kevin Smith's girlfriend's mom. Like you said, I'm blanking. Method Man shows up.
Yeah.
Logic shows up. Justin Long, Jason Mewes, and Harley Quinn Smith, Kevin's daughter, are in a fake movie.
That's when I knew I was in love with it, was when they were showing the fake trailers. And I was like, they're doing the nun thing. And because that's Harley Quinn Smith, she's in a fake trailer where a nun.
She's a killer nun.
She's doing a great nun. She's a really good nun. And then they're showing a part where she's playing basketball. And I was like, if they just go all in on the basketball thing for this trailer, I'm going to love it. It's going to be so good. It's like, but she has to do something. And she ends up hooking for the church. And there's a part in the trailer where Jason Mewes is like, we gotta pull that. What's underneath that wig? And he pulls it off, and it's a nun's habit. He's like, what the hell? And she screams, pulls out a knife, and stabs him.
Yeah. See what I mean? How
that was so great.
Very Blood Diner
right
was
there, wasn't it?
Starring Jason Mewes and Justin Long, and they made a fake trailer for it. It could have fit in to the 4:30 movie.
It has all the teenage level humor that you would expect. Dicks and balls jokes galore, where some of them are grown worthy, but like the kid that masturbates in the bathroom just because he sees a poorly drawn picture of a girl's butt. That is so funny.
Yeah. Also, the theater is managed by Ken Jeong, who I think is great in this.
Ken Jeong's performance in this reminded me that I really enjoy Ken Jeong.
He's fantastic. He's it's a very Chang from Community performance from Ken Jeong, where he's just a little bit unhinged, and it works out perfectly.
And he feels like he's on top of it.
Right.
When he's like, hey, go fuck yourself. He's like, no, I won't. And he smiles and walks away.
Yeah. And also, there's a fake wrestler in this played by Sam Richardson.
Sam Richardson shows up.
Sam Richardson's fantastic in this movie.
Great little part from Sam Richardson.
So he has his, he drops kayfabe in front of that's what the person that reminded me of you is there's a guy, one of Kevin's friends, not Kevin, Brian's friend, Kevin Smith's friends, who's really into wrestling and gets upset when people are saying that it's not real.
Yeah.
And he meets Sam Richardson, who plays a wrestler called Major.
No.
Isn't it?
No.
What is it?
It's Major Murder.
Major Murder. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
And Major Major's from fucking Catch-22. And he just completely drops the kayfabe.
He drops kayfabe almost immediately.
And he goes from that growly voice to sweet Sam Richardson voice, like Detroiter
like, what
Sam
are you
Richardson.
here for? Are you here to fight something? He's like, no, I'm here for something more special than that. And he's waving. He's like, oh, is that your daughter? He's like, no, what do you mean? She looks that much younger than me? Yeah. He was like, no, I've known her since high school. She was a sophomore. And I was a junior when we started going out. And he just started talking about, he's like, I used to be really fat when I was a kid.
It's just great. Sam Richardson's one of the most enjoyable people to watch on screen.
And then he just goes, don't tell anybody this is how I really talk.
Yeah.
And when he's walking away, that's when the other kid, I can't even remember his name, but I loved his performance. He was fantastic. He was like, hey, he just gives Major Murder's catchphrase back to him.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you're going to clap those cheeks? And he was like, you got to ask, you're not up to the task. And it's like, he just had a great moment with a guy that he really enjoys.
It's a fantastic movie.
Gosh darn it was a really good movie.
Learned. And there's
the stakes are so not there. It's perfect.
But what I like about it is
they created the stakes themselves just because he was into this girl and his friend was just worried about losing time with his friend.
Right.
And so they created the problem themselves.
Which
and
is
I love that type of situation.
In high school do.
Exactly. The whole time that I was watching it, all the kid had to do was show up and be like, probably can't do the movie at 4:30. Yeah. I was, a lot of shit happened today. And they'll be like, okay, we can do it some other time. But no, it was like very important to them. It felt great.
And Brian's mom, played by Rachel Dratch, keeps calling him at the movie theater, which is something I remember, not from obviously from the 80s, but being somewhere at like a bowling alley and having your parents call the bowling alley to talk to you because it's before we all had cell phones. That was just like great secondhand embarrassment. And then his dad is played by Jason Lee, another Kevin Smith. I was hoping this whole time, what do you think I wanted to happen watching this movie?
They would kiss?
No, Affleck would show up.
Of course.
I wanted Affleck to show up so bad, but he didn't.
Too busy.
No, he's in Clerks 3 for a minute. Like, He's not that busy.
Yeah, this movie wasn't as big as Clerks 3.
No, it wasn't.
Was this movie even in theaters?
It was. Remember, I wanted to go see it, but it was only playing an hour away.
Right.
And then I saw that it was going to be on streaming 2 weeks later. So I bought it on Amazon. Like, you could just buy the movie on Amazon. So I just did that. So, yeah.
I would have loved to have seen this movie in theaters.
Me too.
This is, again, another one of those movies where I saw on Twitter, somebody said, like, this is one of the best performances, one of the best movies I've seen from Kevin Smith in a long time.
For sure.
And I was like, that's enough for me, because I don't hate Kevin Smith.
No.
I just stopped being interested in his movies that he was making.
Hey, you know what? I would say there's a time when he kind of got uninterested in some of the movies he was making.
I would have to agree.
I've seen Cop Out. He didn't look very interested in making that movie.
But you could tell he really cared about what he was doing here.
Right.
And it just came out very fun and funny.
Yeah.
And cute. My another part that I really liked was these at the beginning, the two of them started wrestling, and the friend who was watching the TV, who wasn't really paying attention, looks over, sees that one of them's got a headlock. He's like, "Oh, we're wrestling, huh?" And he just drop kicks them. I was like, "That's boys."
There's a great scene at the end where I think the scene that kind of hit me the hardest is Brian gets kicked out of the movie theater, and he's trying to sneak back in, and one of the girls that works at the movie theater, she's like the cool teenage girl, and or like early 20s, however old she's supposed to be. She's outside smoking a cigarette, and she kind of gives him like the pep talk about like, "Hey, you're gonna be okay." Like, you know,
because she's like, I'm in the movies.
I don't want to spoil like the whole thing, but
she says a beautiful thing, which is, people come here to escape their life. For a few hours. He's like, we come here because this is our life. And it's like, whoa.
That's what made me think of you when I was watching it, because she says something about, or they bring up something about Tobe Hooper directing Texas Chainsaw, and they're like, why do you know who directed Texas Chainsaw? And I was like, that's the shit that Jake knows all the time.
Oh, yeah. Tobe Hooper is a fantastic director.
Yeah. And at one point, they do make a reference to like, they say they're just going to make it, because it's set in 1986, I want to say.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Ooh, Blood Thunder.
But they said like, they say they're going to make a Batman movie, and one of the kids said, no one's ever going to pay to see a Batman movie in theaters. And I was like, oh right, there was a time when people were like, who would go pay to see? Now we have so many Batman.
Right. The Adam Pally diatribe is the best.
It's a shitty box office.
It's like, people care about Star Wars that much that they want to know what happened before with these characters.
Yeah.
Maybe they start making tiny little TV series about these characters you don't even care about. Oh, I wonder what Boba Fett's up to.
Yeah.
That was great.
That's what you've said to me on this podcast.
Smith.
Yeah.
And me agreeing through the movie about what's happening to the stuff that we care about.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm hoping this ushers in like a third era of Kevin Smith, because he did, like, I think his first generation was kind of up through Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and then he kind of tried to do the bigger Hollywood thing with Cop Out and things like that. And when he was in Die Hard, the shitty fourth Die Hard, whatever, what was that? Live
Free or Die Hard?
Was that what that one was?
Justin Long?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then he kind of stopped doing that, and then he started doing his speaking tours, the Evening with Kevin Smith stuff, and then he got into podcasting. One of the first big podcasters. Like, talk to anybody who's been around podcasting forever. They're like, oh, Kevin Smith was one of the first to be doing it. And it was him and his producer, Scott Mosier, Smodcast, still one of the funniest podcasts ever. That's where they got Tusk came from an episode of Smodcast where they found this weird, like, some copy pasta ad where someone says, it's like, oh, I'm offering someone to live rent free. Here's the thing, though, for 1 hour a day, you have to dress up like a walrus. And then Kevin Smith's like, I'm going to make this movie. Yeah. This movie comes from an episode of Smodcast where Kevin went back home to his parents' house and found a cassette recorder that he used to record his deep thoughts into, which is something Brian does in the film. And he plays it, and it's just his new adult, professional friend who is a director, and Scott Mosier directs the Grinch animated movies. Like, he's very successful producer and director and shit like that. Just him listening to, they called it Emo Kev was the name of the episodes, where he's just playing back all these horrible, like, emo thoughts that he recorded on a talk boy, essentially.
It's going to make me tear up, man.
And
that's the cutest thing I ever heard.
It gets cuter. So one of the things that he said that made Scott Mosier just die laughing is when he's talking to the tape recorder. He's talking about this girl that he has a crush on, and he says, I got a 24 karat case of love, which they both thought was the dumbest, and he thought it was dumb, but Scott's like, no, that's like a real cool thing. And that's something Brian says in this film. And then the ending credits are a song that sounds like it's from the 80s called 24 Karat Case of Love, which is taken from that, which was written by Bear McCreary, who also does the music to the new Lord of the Rings series too. Like, very talented guy, but he wrote this 80s pop hit based on a stupid thing Kevin Smith said into a tape recorder in the 80s. Man. I don't know. I think it was just a great movie.
It is a great movie. This was Kevin Smith back in the wheelhouse. It was him being like, I tell a great story that's very down to earth. And I hope he takes that away from this.
Well, I think the thing I hope he takes away from this is, like, Clerks worked so well because he wasn't making up a story. He was just kind of telling his story. Like, I think that's why Clerks 2 worked so well, because Clerks 2 and Clerks 3 were, like, really coming of age. Dogma was really his story about, you know, him growing up Catholic and everything like that, and how he can process that.
You can tell he had a lot of understanding of what he's talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think Dogma is still a pretty pro-religion movie if you look at it.
Yeah.
I mean,
God comes down and saves everyone.
And it's Alanis Morissette.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a win-win in my book. But I think if Kevin Smith is telling his story, that's why the Evening with Kevin Smith stuff works so well. It's because it's just him telling his stories. Mm-hmm. So his story is interesting, and I want to see him tell it in whatever way he can. Yeah. So, like, everyone should go out and watch the 4:30 movie.
To see that he still got it when he sits down.
Yeah.
It felt so good. Because there's laugh out loud moments in this damn movie that I loved. And there's secondhand embarrassment moments that just feel natural that it's just perfect.
You remember being caught by an adult when you're not like, you know, but like when you're at a movie theater and someone's like, hey, kids, knock that off.
Yeah. And
you're like, oh, shit. Like, there's an adult here. It's the worst. And there's so much of that in this movie where it's like, you guys are banned.
That's what I was thinking. No. Where they're like, this is how we get into a rated R movie.
Right.
Where, like, looking back at it, I probably just could have gotten into a rated R movie.
Yeah.
There's no way that ushers cared that much.
No.
But
they don't. When I was getting paid at that point, probably $5 an hour.
But when I was that young, I was like, can't go to a rated R movie.
No.
They will kick me out.
I sat through some of The Sixth Sense because I saw The Sixth Sense. I was underage for a PG-13. And I had to get someone to buy me a ticket, and then I went into the PG-13 movie. And the whole time you're sitting there, you were just a nervous wreck because you're like, I'm not. It's that thing when you're a little kid. You think everyone's thinking about you and watching you constantly.
Yeah.
But they don't fucking care.
Well, because you're breaking the rules.
Right.
And it's like, everybody's looking out for the rules.
Yeah. Yeah. They have to. They're adults. Adults have to all care about the rules.
Society is based on rules.
We're adults, and we don't give a shit about the rules.
Because I remember we watched Mortal Kombat, right?
Yeah.
I go talk to my nephew, who was 8 or 7 at the time.
Talking about new Mortal Kombat?
Yes.
Yeah.
The newest one. And he was like, I want to see that. And I was like, I don't know. I think it's pretty bloody for you. Yeah. He's like, I don't think so. He's like, I think I can handle it.
Yeah.
I was like, well, maybe. I was like, one day I'll probably watch it with you. And then, like, I talked to him a week later. He's like, saw the Mortal Kombat movie, by the way. It's fine. Yeah. He was like, no, I don't see why you were so scared for me to watch it.
Yeah,
like,
it's...
you're right, buddy.
I mean, as a dad, like, I have to say, like, there's some parts where I'm just like, you know, I remember what I was like when I was my kid's age. And it's like, listen, when I was 9, South Park came on the air, which just opened the floodgates to just language and violence and things I probably shouldn't have been watching as a 9-10-year-old. I'd like to think I turned out okay.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things where it's like, I'm not going to actively,
that's one of the things,
promote it.
But since I was his uncle, I wasn't going to be like, here's something that might traumatize you. I don't know.
No.
But if the parents were like, hey, watch it. And then he was like, I'm not traumatized. Let's talk about it.
There are things that traumatize me that probably were made for kids back then.
Yeah. Exactly. That's why.
Here's the thing.
It's all through context.
You're going to get traumatized by something. Sometimes it ends up like you, where you love horror movies, where if I saw that when I was a kid, I never want to see a horror movie again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It comes after a while.
I never do. All right. So, yeah, 4:30 movie. That's a 3. Resounding 3. Oh, did you like the little post-credits?
I didn't watch the post-credits.
You didn't watch the post-credits?
I didn't know that there was one.
God damn it, Jacob. Of course there was a post-credits.
I'm not going to stick around for post-credits anymore.
I'll show it to you afterwards. It's cute.
This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Every time the credits start, I'm running out of the exit.
Just full sprint?
Full sprint.
Before you see who the best boy is, you're out in your car.
Before I even see cast, before I see an order of appearance, I'm already out the door.
Jesus Christ.
I'm done with post-credits.
Fair enough.
No, I'm going to stick around.
Yeah, you
All
are.
those people worked really hard on that movie.
You did.
I need to sit there. I need to clap.
Stand up and clap like you're at Cannes.
I need an 11-minute ovation
Clap
for
the whole
this
time.
bad boy.
All right, yeah, it's worth it. Everybody go see the 4:30 movie. Find a way to watch it. I'm sure it'll be free streaming on something like Amazon or Netflix or something like that soon. So thank you, everybody, for listening to the show. Thank you to our buddies, Brother Bill, for giving us the theme song. Thank you to Jimmy for doing all the artwork. If you want to get in touch with the show, you can email us upyouralleypod@gmail.com. Let's figure out what we're going to be watching next week. Jake, what you got for me?
We're doing one last horror thing, bud.
Oh, boy.
Yep. This is the oh boy one.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
I don't like this.
Yep. We had fun. Didn't we have fun these past couple of weeks?
We had a little fun.
Yeah, we had a little fun. We're not going to have any fun anymore. This movie, I'm going to have fun. It's called In a Violent Nature. This is a movie that's from the perspective of the killer. It never leaves the killer this time around.
When did it come out?
Last year or this year?
Oh, so it's a modern thing.
Yeah, it's
not
modern.
a crazy old thing. All right. I will.
Yeah.
Well, where can I watch that?
Amazon.
Amazon.
Yep.
Oh, 2024.
Yep.
Oh,
This year.
Jesus. When a group of teens takes a locket from a collapsed fire tower in the woods, they unwittingly resurrect the rotting corpse of Johnny. Oh, so it's a slasher movie.
Yep. But it never leaves. It's like it never leaves Jason. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So it's like playing the Jason video game.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to this.
Great.
Good.
We're gonna watch it.
It came out May 31st of this year.
There you go.
All right. I've got something.
Mayflowers.
I've got something from 2024 for you as well.
Uh-oh.
Available to stream on Apple. Apple original film Wolves.
Oh man,
Have you seen Wolves?
I saw
Of Wolves.
the picture
From
because
Wolves.
I was with a group of friends. We're gonna watch Godzilla, and we booted up PlayStation,
Yeah.
and it was like watch Wolves, and we're looking at it, we're like,
Watch Wolves.
and we're like, it's wolves.
No, it's
Like
not. It's
it should be
wolves.
wolves.
Nope, that's what
because the
first of
plural
all-
of wolves.
I like saying
It's
wolves,
wolves.
a whole bunch. So Wolves, if you don't know, it's a film starring George Clooney and Brad Pitt.
Right.
And they're both fixers.
Yes.
The term wolf comes from Mr. Wolf, which was...
That's what they were talking about. That's what we were talking about because
Yeah.
like it couldn't be Mr. Wolf from Pulp Fiction.
It's Mr. Wolf, who's Harvey Keitel's
Yeah.
character from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
that's
they're
where
like,
the term
so, yeah.
a wolf comes through. So they're basically that guy. They're cleaners. Yeah.
Fixers.
It takes place over one night in New York City. It's just a really nice action movie. And I got to say, Brad Pitt and George Clooney, they are fucking movie stars.
We watched
just
Bullet
oozing-
Train recently.
We did.
and it was really good.
When there was a big storm and I couldn't leave your house because it
Yeah.
was torrential outside. But yeah, Brad Pitt, just same type of vibe from Brad Pitt, just oozing charisma, crazy good. George Clooney back with Brad Pitt. It looks like they're just having fun making a movie.
All right.
Yeah, so Wolves, I'm going to watch in a Violent Nature. I'm going to watch as well. Thank you for listening, everybody. Jake, thanks for coming over. Love you, buddy.
Love you, buddy.
Bye.